Hey guys, what's up? I'm Kit. This is SchizoKitzo. It's time to get crazy. So I'm here tonight to talk to you guys about medications. I just want to basically have a stream of consciousness conversation with you guys just to talk about why meds are so important. And the biggest thing that I can start off with is the fact that when you're on a medication, it builds up in your system. It basically, over the course of, for a lot of the cases, weeks to months, especially with antidepressants, they build up over time. And certain meds also you have to titrate up over time, like Lamictal is one of the biggest ones, where you have to basically start from 0, 25, 75, 100 milligrams, 150, 200, or however high your psychiatrist tells you to go. But I mean, the big thing about this is that it takes so much time to do that, when you start feeling better, if you go off them, whether you miss a dose, whether you miss multiple doses, you would have to start from scratch. And while you start from scratch, you're gonna have to deal with potentially and most likely a relapse of symptoms. And that's the thing for a lot of people. I know specifically that's a big thing for bipolar patients, where you take meds for a long time and it kind of gives you a handle on your life. It gives you a handle on your situation, and you suddenly think, oh, I'm doing so well in everything. Everything is fine. I can just go off my meds and I'll be fine. And this is a thought that psychiatrists battle with their patients. They don't necessarily know how to really get them to take their meds besides telling them take their meds. And when it comes down to it, whether you take your meds or not, this video, well, I can't make you take meds. And I think that's really important, is the fact that no one can take your meds but you. No one is responsible for taking your meds but you. So when you're at that place, when you're on the precipice, when you're on the cliff edge of thinking about going off your medication, think about how far have you come with your medication? How different is your life now? Do you like your life? Most likely it's better than the hell you were in before you started meds. And how much you value that is where all this stuff comes into play. Another thing is that a lot of people, well, they have side effects from their medications. For me, my most common side effect is that my hands will shake because of the Zyprexa. Antipsychotics, they mess with the dopamine balance in your brain. And that's a good thing for moods, and it's a good thing for psychotic symptoms, but it also makes your hands shake, and that's called extrapyramidal symptoms. I remember when I first started taking Zyprexa, I actually ended up in the ER because I couldn't stop my legs from shaking. I couldn't stop my arms from shaking. It was severe dyskinesia, in my opinion, and they gave me a Cogentin shot, or benztropine as it's also commonly called, and everything calmed down. My doctor prescribed me it in pill form, and I take it with me to work, I take it with me outside of work, I take it when I work on cosplays because it steadies my hands, and that is so valuable to me. And another big thing about side effects, they might suck, but are they really worse than having an episode, losing everything that matters to you, going nuts and being disconnected from reality and scared and afraid? Is it worth it to go off the meds to risk the hell that you were in before you started them? That's a really important question that you have to ask yourself if you're thinking about going off your medication. After all, one of my favorite phrases that I found on the internet is, if you're happy and you know it, it's your meds. Because in reality, if you're happy and you know it, if you're happy and content with the life you're living, there's no shame in it being your meds, because there's no shame in not being able to make your own neurotransmitters and getting them from pharmacies. Like, getting what you need store-bought is totally fine. It's totally valid. So there's some shame associated with taking meds. And I'm not saying that shame for me is impossible, because I still feel very iffy about telling people that I take 10 pills a night. I take multiple mood stabilizers. I take an antipsychotic medication. I take fish oil. I will soon post a video about all the meds I take every day. So stay tuned for that. And again, if you are worried about the side effects, most of them do get better over time. For me, when I was on a higher dose of lithium, I would experience, well, for lack of a better term, I would experience having to pee a lot, because it's basically, I wouldn't say it's a diuretic. It might be a diuretic, but don't quote me on that. But it basically makes me pee more because I don't have as much water absorption because of my kidneys. Again, also don't quote me on that, because I can't think of the science off the top of my head. But living with that was something that kind of stuck with me all the way through before my doctor lowered my dose. And the things like what Zyprexa does, those extra pyramidal symptoms, my legs don't shake uncontrollably anymore. They sometimes do when I'm trying to sleep, so it kind of mimics restless leg syndrome for one. But basically, like, the shaky hands have mostly calmed down. I only have to take the pill these days when I'm trying to pipette something that is very sensitive, when it's like 1,000th of a milliliter and has to go on this tiny little spot. That's when I really need it. And sometimes when I'm cutting foam for cosplay, I need to take it so that my hand doesn't shake and mess up the foam cuts. But that's really it. But think about it. If you want to go off your meds, consider the fact that you're probably going to relapse. Consider that if you have regrets, which I guarantee you will, it'll take time to build up to that point, and up into the point where you actually feel better, it's just going to be hell all over again. Your life could absolutely fall apart. But that's all for this video. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and thank you for joining me, as always, in making the uncomfortable comfortable. Bye-bye, guys.